Let me guess, you have probably watched hundreds of YouTube videos, read the books, maybe you've even tried therapy, and yet you still find yourself chasing, overthinking, and stuck in the same anxious attachment patterns. I have worked with over 100 clients and I see people making the same hidden mistakes over and over and over again, and people don't even realize that they're doing this. Listen up, because in this video, I'm breaking down the 3 reasons why you're seeing no results no matter how hard you try, and what to do instead so you can finally feel secure in your relationships. Mistake number 1 is trying to understand your problems. So many people try to think their way into healing, watching endless videos on the internet, listening to podcasts, reading books, or talking around and around in circles in therapy. And I get it. I understand. I really do, because I used to do that too, and I saw no progress. Because intellectualizing is exactly what keeps you stuck on this journey. The idea that understanding the problem is the solution to the problem makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's like standing in front of a burst pipe, and instead of calling someone to help you actually repair the pipe, you just stand around analyzing why the pipe burst in the first place. Meanwhile, the water is flooding your house. And that is exactly what you are doing in therapy. I cannot tell you how many clients have come to me saying, talk therapy just isn't helping me. Nothing actually changes. I'm aware of my problem. I understand my problem. I just don't know what to do about it or what can actually help me fix it. And here's why. Talking and analyzing comes from your neocortex, the thinking brain, but the patterns driving your triggers and your reactions, they live in your limbic system, which is your emotional brain, and inside the brainstem, which is your survival or reptilian brain. And this means that you can understand your childhood wounds perfectly and still find yourself getting triggered, getting anxious, or in a state of fight or flight. And that is why when I work with my clients, yes, we do work with the conscious mind, and awareness is an important part of the process. I am absolutely not denying that. But most of the transformation happens in the subconscious, in the body, and the nervous system. You have to feel and process the old fears and wounds so that your nervous system can finally release it and let it go. Otherwise, those buried emotions will continue to run the show no matter how hard you try to control it. And to truly heal, you need to go through the following cycle: awareness, acceptance, release, integration, and finally, behavioral change. And now you can see that awareness of the issue is only the first step, is the tip of the iceberg. And then also, to add to that, you have to have awareness of the right thing. Most people don't even look in the right place in order to have the relevant awareness. For example, people think that they can move on from their last relationship by understanding what happened, by decoding the avoidant exes patterns so that it can give them some sense of closure. And I'm sure that you've tried that. You've probably already consumed hours and hours of content on YouTube already. And at this point, all the content that you're consuming is just recycled and regurgitated information, because you're not learning anything new. You already understand that they shut down, they withdraw, they fear vulnerability, they fear intimacy, they have core shame wounds that prevents them from taking accountability. So then you need to ask yourself that if thinking and understanding was truly the solution to healing, why is it that you're still stuck? Or I'll give you another example. Maybe you have already consumed a lot of content on anxious attachment and how to heal that. You have maybe talked with a therapist. You understand why you chase, why you fear abandonment. And maybe you have linked it back to your childhood, and you know what happened in your childhood to make you have these fears. But again, has that actually helped you? Well, clearly not, because you're still on this video watching this. So that means that you have not yet found a solution to your problem. And that is exactly my point. And I say this with so much love. You're looking for solutions and relief in all the wrong places. You're asking the wrong questions. You're not aware of your own blind spots. I mean, that's totally normal. Neither am I. You're not doing the real work of healing the wounds and the fears that you need to heal because you don't actually know what to do. And without personal feedback, you don't really know if you're on the right track, and so you end up lost. So if you want to genuinely change this, you've got to work with someone who specializes in this kind of healing, not a generic therapist. And it may sound obvious, But if you don't yet have a solution to your problem, find somebody who does and then let them guide you through it. There are so many coaches out there in this niche. Everybody has their own approach, their own program, their own method. Do your research, find someone that you trust and that you resonate with. Make sure it's someone that you like and find out how to work with them. Mistake number 2 is not addressing your limiting beliefs. Your relationship issues are symptoms, not causes. Beneath those symptoms lie core pains that were first experienced in childhood. And when we couldn't process those feelings as children, we developed programmed behaviors and beliefs in order to cope. Beliefs like people are unreliable, I can't do anything right, so I may as well not try. Or a really common one that I've seen with many of my clients, the only way to feel worthy is to overachieve and prove myself. You have to uncover your limiting beliefs and then reprogram them. A lot of the time, you're not even really aware of what limiting beliefs you have because they're so hidden in your subconscious and you've been living with them for so long that they're just normal to you. And so pretty much every single time I have a new client, they come to me thinking they have a certain issue or a certain belief, but it turns out that it's actually completely different and something they've never considered before. And that's because you don't know your own blind spots. And until you figure out what those beliefs are and you reprogram them, you're doomed to keep repeating the same patterns. And limiting beliefs are highly individual. The triggers, the exact memories that are holding you back and that you haven't let go of, these are all highly individual and based on your personal story. And like I said, these are often in your blind spot. So I'm going to tell you a crazy story. One of my clients, she booked a session with me, and then at some point during the session, she goes, well, I don't know if you can help me with this, but I do have this one problem that is really bothering me, and I haven't been able to find a solution for it. And she says, well, I get this searing pain in my leg at night, and it only happens at night when I'm laying in my bed, and it makes me so uncomfortable that I can't sleep. She said, it's like a red hot pain, like my leg is on fire, it's so painful, it kills me at night. But the weird thing is, it's not there during the day, it completely disappears during the day. She says, I've been to all of these doctors, I've done tests and scans and can't find anything. And so I checked her energy and I said to her, this may sound really weird, but this is something to do with sexual energy. How has your sex life been with your husband? And she says, I haven't had sex with him in over 10 years. So I asked her, how does that make you feel? And she goes, I feel so angry about that. And then I said, well, when do you feel that anger? And her face dropped. She was like, oh my God, at night, when I'm really mad that he doesn't want to touch me when we're laying in bed. And I said, well, that repressed rage is showing up in your leg, and that's why it's not happening during the day, it's only happening at night. Well, have you spoken to your husband about this issue? And she said, no. And I said to her, basically, stop repressing it, sort it out with him, and the pain will go away. And essentially her mind was so blown that I was able to figure this out in a few minutes just by checking her energy and asking a few simple questions. She had literally been to doctors, practitioners, and nobody knew what was going on. But this was the only explanation that made so much sense. So this is what I mean by this stuff is really subconscious. So that's just one of the many interesting stories that I have of the clients that I worked with. And so when I say that people's issues are very unique, very individual, very unpredictable, I really mean it. I really could not tell you without actually working with you what your limiting beliefs are. I can't tell you about your energy. I can't do that over a YouTube video. But what I can tell you is that a person's energy doesn't lie, and I have developed certain tools and certain frameworks to be able to look into this, go deep, and uncover these things. And to be honest, you're not going to really know what's wrong and what you need to work on until you work with someone else and you get that feedback. You know, my clients are always really surprised by what happens on our calls and what gets uncovered in our sessions. And this is what I really love about doing this work. Every client is so different, so unique. Their stories are different, and how I need to adapt to help them is different. And that's really gives me variety in the work that I do. Mistake number 3 is not treating healing like it's a skill. The problem is most people have the wrong definition of healing. Most people think that healing is about feeling better or about not being in pain anymore. And that's really the lowest level definition of healing. It's a side product. Healing is actually the practice of developing a strong relationship with yourself over time and deepening your relationship with yourself. It means becoming your own best friend, your own biggest protector, your own biggest believer, your own greatest love. And healing is the daily practice of showing up for yourself. It is a skill that needs to be developed over time. And like with any skill, you get better with practice. And you get practice every single time life tests you and you choose to respond differently. True healing is a practice of developing a strong, loving, kind relationship with yourself over time. Because ultimately, you are the only person who will ever truly know you and know what it's like to be you and live in your body. No one else gets to experience life as you. And so, anyone else's love, validation, understanding, belief, it will always pale in comparison to what you can give yourself. So, to heal anxious attachment, you must develop a secure relationship and secure attachment to yourself first. And you do this by showing up for yourself and giving yourself the things that you want in life instead of waiting for other people to give it to you. So, if you want more support, if you're tired of being stuck in this vicious cycle of repeating the same painful patterns and dynamics in every relationship, you can apply to work with me down below. I have a program that has helped my clients go from anxious to secure and heal their childhood wounds. So click the link down below to see if I can help and we can book a free discovery call. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.